At the end of this lesson, you will be able to do some things. You will develop some skills. The first one is you will be able to recognize the structure of a letter of application. The second one, you will be able to differentiate between formal and informal words and phrases. The third one, you will be able to understand the formal letter conventions. And the fourth one, you will be able to identify techniques for linking ideas in a formal letter. Now, have a look at this letter. It was written by Hilde Faber, and she applies for the position of team manager. So if you look at the structure of this letter, you will see 4 main paragraphs, A, B, C, and D. At the beginning, there is a salutation, and at the end of the letter, there is a closing part. Sometimes it's called call to action, and at the end you write yours sincerely, your name, and your signature. So, in reading exercise, well, our task will be to match paragraphs with the headings. So the first one, skills, personal qualities and interests. The second, qualifications. The third one, reasons for applying for the job. And the fourth one, work experience. If we go back to the letter, we will see that paragraph A is about the reasons why she applies for this job. In paragraph B, she describes her qualifications. In paragraph C, she writes about her work experience. And in paragraph D, she speaks about her skills, personal qualities, interests. So, salutation in her letter, Dear Mr. Spencer. You can write the name of a person to whom you address your letter, if you know his name, his or her name. If you don't know his or her name, you may write just Dear Mr. or Madam, or you may write to whom it may concern. At the end of the letter, in a closing part, or in the part which is called call to action, well, you may write a call to some action. For example, Hilde writes here about the interview. She hopes that she will be invited for an interview. And then you write yours sincerely or yours faithfully. We're going to speak about it later, when you should write yours sincerely or yours faithfully. Then you write your name and your signature. So the structure of the formal letter is the first thing that you should keep in mind. The second thing that you should remember is that this type of letter is formal. So you should use formal words and phrases here. In exercise 2, well, we should replace neutral words with the more formal words and phrases. So let's do this exercise together. When you do it individually, you can every time go back to the letter. So in the first sentence, the job of team manager, instead of the word job, she writes the position of team manager. It sounds more formal. Number 2, I think I have the necessary skills. Hilde writes, I believe I possess the necessary skills. Number 3, I have a master's degree. It's better to say I hold a master's degree or I hold a diploma. Number 4, I've done more training. First of all, you shouldn't use contracted forms. Well, and it will sound more formal if you say, I have undertaken further practical training. I have undertaken further practical training. Number 5, I have a lot of experience of team management. Instead of a lot of, it's better to say, I have extensive experience. Number 6, before my work at the Office of Discrimination Affairs, instead of before, she writes prior to my work at the Office of Discrimination Affairs. Number 7, this has taught me new things. Instead of taught me new things, it's better to say, this has broadened my outlook. This has broadened my outlook. And number 8, hope to hear from you soon. Instead of this expression, it's better to use the cliché, I look forward to hearing from you soon. I look forward to hearing from you soon. This is a standard phrase to close a formal letter. Well, in number 3, there is a question about Hilda's opportunities to get this job. Do you think she is suitable for this job? I think she is, as her qualifications, her work experience, even her personal qualities and skills are necessary for this job, for this position. So, thing number 2 to remember is to use formal words and phrases in your formal letter. Thing number 3, you should remember that there are formal letter conventions or rules to use when writing a formal letter. Well, before doing this exercise, let us see rules for writing formal letter. Well, your address should be written in the top right-hand corner of the letter. The address of the person you're writing to should be written on the left, starting below your address. Then comes date. Sometimes people don't write date, or they write it on different sides of the page. You can write this on the right or on the left, on the line after the address you are writing to. And first you should write the month as a word, not in numbers but in words. Then comes salutation or greeting. They usually start a formal letter with dear sir or madam. As I have mentioned above, if you don't know the name of the person you're writing to, use this, dear sir or madam. It's always advisable to try to find out a name, so it's better if you know the name of your addressee. And if you write dear Mr. Jenkins, if you know the name, use the title, Mr., Mrs., Miss or Ms., Doctor, and so on. And the surname only, don't write the name. If you are writing to a woman and don't know if she uses Mrs. or Miss, you can use Ms., which is both for married and single women. At the end of the letter, you may write yours faithfully if you do not know the name of the person, and write yours sincerely if you know the name of the person. Then comes your signature. So sign your name and then print it underneath the signature. So if you think the person you are writing to might not know whether you are male or female, you may put your title in brackets after your name. And now let's do this true and false exercise for a formal letter using those formal letter conventions that we have just read. So, number 1, put your name and address in the top right-hand corner. Is it true or false? According to the conventions, to the formal letter conventions, that's really true. Number 2, put the title, name, and address of the recipient in the top left-hand corner. Yes, that's again true. To state the subject, write some noun, for example, job application, before the salutation. Well, that's false, that's not true, because if it is an email, the subject is usually written at the top of the page, but it is never written before the salutation. So this sentence is false. Number 4, write yours sincerely with dear sir or madam and yours faithfully with dear Mr. or Miss Bragg. Well, this is false because we write sincerely yours or yours sincerely when we don't know the name, and yours faithfully with when we know the name, when we don't know the name, and we write yours sincerely when we know the name of our addressee. So this sentence is false. Number 5, if you are writing an open letter to unknown recipient, start to whom it may concern. Yes, I mentioned this before. You may start the letter with this expression, or you may write dear sir or madam. Number 6, start my name is, and I am writing to, I am writing in connection with, I am writing in response to. Well, this sentence is true. Well, if you look at Hilda's letter, you will see that she uses I am writing, the phrase I am writing to. Number 7, do not use contractions. Yes, that's true. Instead of don't, you should write do not. Instead of his, you should write he is. And never use contracted forms. Number 8, put your signature below your name. This sentence is false because put your name below your signature. This will be correct. So, the third thing to remember about writing a formal letter is to keep in mind these formal letter conventions. Well, the second thing to remember is that as far as this is a formal letter, you should use longer sentences than in spoken speech. So you should know how to link ideas to make your sentences longer and in this way to make your letter more formal. Well, let's see an exercise on linking ideas. So in exercise, we are going to learn 3 techniques how to link ideas. And the first technique is to use different words or word combinations. Sentence number 1. In addition my skills as a mediator, I have extensive experience of team management. In this exercise, our task is to remember the text of the letter and to fill in missing words. So when you are doing this exercise individually, you can go back to the letter. Well, now I am going to do it for you. So in sentence number 1, to is missing. In addition to my skills as a mediator, I have extensive experience of team management. In addition to. Number 2, I have lived in Italy and in the UK. Well, here we should say I have lived both in Italy and the UK. Both in Italy and the UK. Number 3, I am fluent in Italian as well English. As is missing here. I am fluent in Italian as well as English. As well as English. Number 4, I take the lead in a crisis. I am creative. So to link these 2 ideas, we should say I take the lead in a crisis. Moreover, I am creative. Number 5, this has not only broadened my outlook, also enabled me to adapt easily to new environments. Well, the correct variant is, this has not only broadened my outlook, but also enabled me to adapt easily to new environments. Not only, but also. This is the construction to use to link ideas. So we can use in addition to, both and, as well as, moreover, not only, but also. Second technique, in exercise 2, we can use not only and also to the sentences and make other necessary changes. Well, and they ask us about the rule for the position of not only but also. So before we start doing this exercise, well, let us see at the rule. We use not only X but also Y in formal contexts. Like, for example, the war caused not only destruction and death, but also generations of hatred between the two communities. The car not only is economical, but also feels good to drive. Sometimes we can leave out also, like in the example, I identified with Denzel Washington not only as an actor, but as a person. Sometimes it's necessary for us to add emphasis. In this case, we can use not only at the beginning of a clause. When we do this, we invert the subject and the verb. Not only was it raining all day at the wedding, but also the band was late. So, let's go back to our exercise 2 and do exercises. Number 1. I am a native speaker of Swedish and I am fluent in Norwegian. I am not only a native speaker of Swedish, but I am also fluent in Norwegian. I am not only a native speaker of Swedish, but I am also fluent in Norwegian. In number 2, I not only can work under pressure, but I also enjoy challenges. I can not only work under pressure, but I also enjoy challenges. In number 3, I not only hold a degree in languages, but also a diploma in translation. I not only hold a degree in languages, but also a diploma in translation. And the last one, I have not only qualified as a nurse, but have also undertaken further training in midwifery. I have not only qualified as a nurse, but have also undertaken further training in midwifery. So that's the second technique. And the third one, well, again, we can use words or word combinations. So in exercise 3, we are to change sentences in 2 different ways, using words and phrases in the brackets. So let's first take moreover. I play golf. Moreover, I am a coach for the local boys football team. Or you may say, not only play I golf, but I am also a coach for the local boys football team. In sentence 2, I am a good team player, furthermore I am a good listener. In addition to being a good team player, I am a good listener. This is one way. The second way is, I am both a good team player and a good listener. So this is the second variant. And in sentence number 3, besides playing the flute, I sing in the choir. We can change this way. Not only play I in the flute for emphasis, but I also sing in the choir. Or you may say, I not only play the flute, but I also sing in the choir. Or, in addition, I sing in the choir. I play the flute. In addition, I sing in the choir. So here we can have even 3 variants. the fourth rule is to know how to link ideas, to make sentences sound more formal. Well, now come exercises which can help you prepare to write. Some expressions are given for giving personal information. So if you are in the classroom, well, with a partner, you can practice these phrases, these sentences, to make them true for you. Like, I have trained as an interpreter, or I have undertaken training in interpreting. Prior to that, I worked in a big international company, for example. And then you may read your sentences to a partner, and you may exchange information, asking and answering questions. And for home task, after doing all these tasks, of course, you are supposed to write a letter to apply for a job you would like. Well, the most important thing is to follow the structure of Hilda's letter, to use formal words and phrases, to use formal letter conventions, and of course to link your ideas, making your sentences more formal.